So I'll talk you through what to do before you start writing. So before you actually put pen to paper on the Red Grant application form, what is it you need to do? First of all, you've got to plan your project. So to plan your project, you've got to understand that grant funding is for projects. So projects have a start date, an end date, and they have outcomes at the end of the project. It must be a project. And to have a project, you've got to have a problem or an opportunity that you're addressing. So what that means is you've got to think about what your problem is or what your opportunity is that you're trying to meet. So for example, in the Red Grants, it could be a case of you create products that you deliver to all over WA. So WA loves your product, it's fabulous, and you've identified that over in the east, they don't actually have a lot of the product that you're producing. And there is a gap there. There's unmet demand over there. They would love your product. They would buy it. You've done some market research. You know that they would buy it. There's a gap. But that's a great opportunity for you. There's no one doing it over in the east. You're doing it here in WA. You could potentially go and do it over in the east as well. You could supply them as well. So that's an opportunity you've identified. Conversely, it could be a problem. So an example for a problem that could exist is there may be a lot of small producers in your region. So you've got a lot of small producers making, producing vegetables, fruit, honey, whatever it is that they're producing, but they're quite small and they're really struggling to expand on their customers. So they can service their local area, but they're really struggling to get their product any further, to increase their customers, to access perhaps retail stores, the larger retail stores, because they don't have the economies of scale because they're little small producers. So that could be a problem that you've identified. So that's the start. That's how you start. You've got to start with identifying your problem or your opportunity, and that's where you've got your project. The next thing you need to do before you actually start your application is you've got to contact your local Regional Development Commission. So whatever the Regional Development Commission is in your area, contact them. As I said before, things are different across different regions. They've got different regional priorities, but they also have different funding maximum amounts and they have different application forms. Contact your Regional Development Commission, talk to them about your idea. Tell them what problem or opportunity it is that you're planning to address and how you're planning to address it, and speak to them about it and see what they say. They may have some great tips or tricks. They may have some statistics or documents that they can provide to you that would help you with your application. They may also be able to guide you in how you could make it of more benefit to the region. So for example, they may say to you, we actually know of a few small producers who have raised this exact same problem. Why don't you speak to them as well when you're developing your project? So then you would have more people in your project. You've decided to create a cooperative of all these small producers, get them all together and create economies of scale. And the Development Commission can give you a few other people that might be wanting to be involved, which would obviously benefit the region on a wider scale. So it's going to improve your application. So speak to your Regional Development Commission before you start writing. The next thing you need to do is to plan your project and gather all the evidence that you need. So what that means is deciding what it is you're going to do. So you're going to create a cooperative or you're going to purchase some equipment or storage so that you can create more of the product and deliver it over to the eastern states. Whatever it is you're going to do, you need to plan it. So you need to now go and get your quotes, get your cost estimates for how much the piece of equipment's going to cost. Really get the detail of how you're going to deliver the project. Gather the number of small producers. So find out how many there are, go and speak to them, make sure they're on board, see what they want out of a cooperative, start planning your project. And as you're going, gather your evidence. What that means is gathering the quotes to evidence the cost of your project, but it also means in the example of the cooperative, you've got to go and get the evidence that these people want to be involved. So getting letters from them to say that they have this problem and that they want to be involved in your solution, in your cooperative. So gather all this information. You also need to gather research, publications, anything that is going to evidence the need for your project, so the problem or the opportunity, or is going to evidence how you're going to deliver it. So the quotes, any designs, any plans, drawings, that sort of thing, or approvals. So gather all of that information ready to start. The next thing you need to do is get the application document, the criteria and the assessment criteria and eligibility. As I said, that is something that is unique to each region. It can be found on the Regional Development Commission's websites, or you can contact your Regional Development Commission for them. Grab that information, double check that you are eligible. That should have happened when you spoke to the Regional Development Commission, but you don't want to waste your time applying for something that you're not eligible for. So check the eligibility criteria. If you're not sure, speak to the Regional Development Commission. And then look at the assessment criteria. Make sure you have read through those guidelines inside and out and you know what it is they're asking for, what they want, what they're trying to achieve, and how they're going to assess your application. How will they score it? So have a look at your assessment criteria. I like to have that right next to me when I'm writing or up on the screen so that I can refer back to it all the time and also make sure that I answer the question. It's just like when you're in high school and you're doing an exam and they tell you answer the question, you've got to focus on that. So have the guidelines there with you so that you make sure you can do that.